be difficult to decide my favorite time of day to cruise around the garden, but morning, well, it has its special elements, to be sure. Starting my day with the birds chirping and the flowers smiling back at me is just so magical. To see what's bloomed overnight as the peace of the garden fills my heart and my soul. Some people refer to gardening as yard work, but to me it's anything but work. The official definition of gardening is the practice of growing and cultivating plants. To me, it is the exploration and discovery of what our Creator, in conjunction with Mother Nature, has given us to create beauty and peace of mind. I believe while I might currently have the mortgage to this land I garden on and have for the last 30 years, in fact, I'm just a steward of this land. And I feel an obligation, in a good way, to bring the best elements of what is possible together. I know that someday I will no longer be the steward of this garden and the 2 acres that we have been blessed with. And I want to pass it on with love and a knowing of all the beautiful things that transpired here during my family's tenure. Getting whimsical in the garden is an extra joy for me from the addition of statues and various pieces of art. This allows my creativity to go on steroids as I find treasures along my way that I can bring back home to the garden. I love to create little nooks and crannies throughout the garden so that I can come back and visit them on every day that I can. And with the Rocky Mountains off in the distance, I can so often feel on many occasions the footsteps of the Native Americans of the Arapaho tribe that once lived on this ground that I now get to call my home. Recently, I heard my husband say to someone else that he was a gardener. This was a big deal to me because my husband used to also always call it yard work. And now I can feel him becoming one with our land now that he is retired and has more time to stop and actually, yes, smell the flowers. Mostly you will find flowers in my garden, though herbs and veggies are here too. And my Pooch Luna here, well, her and her sister Abby, they love the strawberry bed, and we're lucky to get any strawberries with them constantly stealing them to their heart's content. I have a deep affection for zinnias and also morning glories. While some people will tell you to stay clear of morning glories, I feel it's worth it tenfold because when you look deep into the heart of this beautiful flower. Many years ago, I decided to put raised beds in the garden in order to cut out some of the more laborious aspects of weeding. That was a game changer because it gives me so much more time to play with the plants that bring me the greatest joy, versus those weeds that can be backbreaking. Though don't get me wrong, it's not all sunshine and roses all the time. In fact, gardening here just outside of Boulder, Colorado in Zone 5 can be challenging in so many ways, from the harsh times that we have had snow after the projected Mother's Day last frost in May, to even seeing snow on Labor Day in September. We've had crazy hailstorms that once made my garden look like someone had put the entire thing in a blender and left it running. I cried for days, swearing I would just never garden again. But you know what? 3 days later, she called to me, and I got back in and made her whole again. I call her a she because she has the love, nurturing, and patience I have come to know as a woman. I've cried many tears during those mishaps in the garden, but I always come back to nurturing this land, this garden that I adore. And whenever my husband and I talk about the potential move from here, I walk through the garden and I know it would be like leaving my dearest and best friend behind. This garden has embraced me when I have felt the deepest of grief, from my mother's death to my children leaving home to strike out on their own. In good times and in bad times, it has been here for me, and I will be forever grateful that I had this time with her, no matter what the future brings. Truly, my creative spirit has been made whole by the power of this thing called gardening, and most especially for this very special garden that I get to call my own.